we can now speak things into existence the way our Creator did. God said, let there be light, and there was light. We are on the cusp of being able to speak things, and code is written, videos are created, but humans need to remain at the center of our design.
Paul Allen, he is the founder of Ancestry.com. He's now the founder of Soar, and he's actually my business partner in 7Q.ai.
All the best athletes in the world get to watch game film. They get to study what they did well and what they could have done better. Knowledge workers, we've never seen game film of ourselves. We've transcribed every word you and your team have spoken. We've indexed every single clip. This can be like learn as you go with Jeremy coaching you every step of the way.
All right, so Paul, founder of Ancestry.com, that's quite an accomplishment. Where did you come up with this idea of Ancestry.com and like the DNA stuff? It's fabulous.
Yeah, I look back on my life and I think, okay, where did that idea even begin to start? In 1990, I started a CD-ROM publishing company with my best friend. And we actually said, what if we put all the world's best books on CD-ROM using a powerful search engine that my oldest brother, Kurt, had started a company called Folio.
Okay.
So think about 10 years before Google, Folio comes out. It's a Utah Valley company, the best search engine in the world. And it worked on your hard drive or on CD-ROM.
Okay.
So my first company was just put all the world's best books. I look at your books here and I'm like, oh, I want to read it.
I have a lot more than this.
I
but
love
this is what
books.
I put in here. Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson said, I cannot live without books. The Library of
true.
Congress was formed with 7,000 of his books that he donated to the Library of Congress.
love
Anyway,
that.
I love books. I love learning. So, but there was a challenge with putting all the world's best books on CD-ROM, and that was copyrights and permissions.
Yeah.
We went to some publishers. We signed some contracts. We got a few dozen best-selling titles. But there's millions of books that we couldn't get permission to, and we were in our 20s.
Yeah.
So I go to an internet conference in September of 1995 in San Francisco. I love to travel. I love to go to events and conferences and learn from the best.
Sure.
And I'm sitting there thinking, the internet is going to destroy the CD-ROM business model completely.
Yeah.
It'll disrupt us.
Yeah.
And the World Wide Web is what we called it back then. Now we call it the cloud, but the World Wide Web is where all data will go.
Yeah.
What data could we put on the internet that wouldn't require permission? What about all the birth, marriage, and death records from every human that's ever lived? So it's actually September.
Wow. This is how it all started.
1995, that idea hit. By June, we had launched our first version of Ancestry.com. By July of 97, we incorporated it. We sold our CD-ROM business. And my co-founder and I were all in. We're going to put all the world's genealogy
and the
on
rest is history.
The rest is history.
And it's so interesting because I always say there's like this, everybody has like a defining moment in their life where their choices dictate not only their future and their destiny, but a lot of times like millions of other people's destinies. So it's very interesting how, because you went to that event and you started seeing like, oh my gosh, the internet's going to destroy the CD-ROM thing. And you got this other idea, but you got that idea because you were at that event that day.
Yeah.
What would have happened if Paul didn't go to that event that day?
That's a really interesting question.
Isn't that so interesting?
Yeah, I love that, Jeremy. I love how we look back. And I think Steve Jobs in his commencement speech, I think 2005, he's like, if you look back, you can connect all the dots. When you're looking forward at a young age, you really don't know what will lead to what. Here's another thing that's not very well known, though, is that we tried to raise venture capital for Ancestry.com with zero success.
Really? At the
we
very
went
beginning?
to we went to Sand Hill Road in 97. We had all this traffic. We had all this revenue. We were growing like crazy. Zero interest.
They didn't buy into the
If you think about investors, they often invest in what they know and what they care about.
Yeah.
And most of the young men in their 20s and 30s that were Silicon Valley VCs had zero interest in the hobby of what is genealogy? It's people in their 50s and 60s going to courthouses and cemeteries and writing and getting records and putting together their family tree. It didn't compute. Okay, so here's the weird thing.
Yeah.
I had a vivid dream.
Okay.
Do you remember in Utah County where you and I both lived for a long time?
Yeah.
Novell was the world's top networking company,
Yeah.
and WordPerfect was the world's top word processing company, and those were our neighbors.
Yeah.
I had a vivid dream that Ancestry built an intranet for every family in the world, and we ended up building a social network called myfamily.com.
Okay.
All of the venture capital came because of that website.
Really?
Everybody wanted a family site where they could share photos. A lot of the venture capitalists might have been married, had one or two kids, and they knew they were neglecting their mom, their dad. They weren't communicating
Yeah,
with
they
their
wanted those
family.
memories.
And so
Okay.
myfamily.com is why the first 75 million in venture capital came in 3 fast years. And then
Wow.
we were on the verge of $1 billion IPO in early 2000. But those
Wow.
two things, the trip to San Francisco and then that vivid dream that I
Yeah.
acted upon, is really kind of
Yeah.
a big
I mean,
part
you,
of the story.
you built an empire there, from what I see, you guys went public in 2009. BlackRock acquired Ancestry.com, a while ago for $4.8 billion. Congratulations. But let's talk about what the future holds.
Yeah.
So Ancestry is more about like finding out the past and associating yourself with your ancestors and where you came from and your roots, and there's a lot more to that, which is amazing. AI, now we're focused on the future. So what caused you to like, hey, switch gears? Like, I want to go this direction into the future with AI.
So it actually was another experience. My friend Clint Carlos,
Mm-hmm.
who ended up being my co-founder at Soar AI Studio, he told me about the Gallup StrengthsFinder assessment in 2012.
Mm.
So I'd been an entrepreneur for 22 years. I had started several companies. We also had a Facebook app that got 120 million users. And that was led by the now founder of Crumble Cookie, Jason McGowan. He was my
Okay.
product
Crumble
manager.
cookie.
He was my
Oh,
product
those cookies,
manager.
man.
I know.
That's like a once a year cookie, man.
I mean, it's like
that'll
a
kill you.
billion dollar, talk about a $1 billion sales empire in
Yeah.
just 5 or 6 years. So Jason worked with me on a Facebook app in 2008, 9, and 10 that got 120 million users.
Wow.
And,
Okay.
and so but then I went to work for Gallup in Washington, D.C. after I took their StrengthsFinder assessment.
Now, what is Gallup? For
Gallup
everybody that might
is
not know.
the world's best polling company. They
Mhm.
invented modern polling in the 1930s, but they also do talent assessments, employee engagement surveys.
That's like political polling and stuff.
They do
like,
political polling. They're
you
an
do a lot of
independent pollster, but they
Okay.
also do workplace consulting.
Okay.
And they have a multi-$100 million business
Okay.
owned by an amazing family called the Clifton family. Don Clifton, who died in 2003,
Mhm.
is the modern psychologist who invented a whole field of psychology called strengths-based psychology.
Okay.
He's known as the grandfather of positive psychology. So
I see.
for 5 years, I learned that every human being has a unique set of talents.
Yeah.
You could call them God-given talents or natural talents. These are things you aren't taught.
Yeah.
They're not skills. They're not knowledge. It's not learning from
They're
practice.
things that you just kind of are born with.
You were born with these gifts.
Mhm.
And Don had a taxonomy of all those gifts. And I was blown away when I took that assessment. It explained everything I'd done at Infobases, Ancestry, my family. It explained everything I'd done in the past. And it told me what my top talents were.
Yeah.
And then I realized, now tens of millions of people have taken that assessment. It tells you what you're capable of doing.
Yeah.
So now I'll be a lifelong evangelist.
Yeah.
But for 5 years, I was the global evangelist for StrengthsFinder. And for me, taking knowledge, wisdom, and advice is super important. Learning, reading, applying it, but personalizing it to the individual is really kind of
It's
my
how you
obsession.
frame the knowledge, right? Because a lot of people, I always say like, Elon Musk, like it's not like he was the only person that had the idea of the electric car. He just knew how to communicate his vision better than other people. Jeffrey Bezos just knew how to communicate it better. You were probably not the only person that had that idea. You just took action on it. Most people don't. And you knew how to frame it where people bought into that. That's communication skills. So it's all about how you frame it. And I love what you said. What you said was really brilliant there. Like everybody is born with talents. But what most people don't realize, it's like the parable of the talents in the New Testament. Everybody has talents, but you have to plant those seeds and grow them. You have to learn how to expand those talents if you want to be known and do something great. You might be born as like a kind of a person that can communicate somewhat good. You might be good at sales, but if you plant that seed and you start to really master that, you become great at sales. But that comes with learning. Same thing, maybe with your talents being an evangelist, or your talents of like being a visionary. You were born with that, but you learned other things and skills to like heighten that to the pinnacle of success.
I think what you said is
That's
super
the
important.
difference.
Don Clifton wrote a book called Soar with Your Strengths in 1992. He made a very important point related to what you just said. Society tries to tell us, be well-rounded, try to be good at everything, or, and that's the wrong formula. He said, take your natural talent and lean into it. and become world-class at that one thing.
Put the horse blinders
And so
on.
you take your natural talent and then you develop it. You add courses and knowledge and training and practice and coaching.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're extraordinary. And now you're getting reward and recognition for doing great work. You feel fulfilled because you're actually doing what you're designed to do.
Yeah.
Andrew Yang wrote a book a few years ago, and it gave some scary statistics about the United States. He said that 3/4 of all highly achieving academics in the United States go to the same 6 Ivy League schools, and then they live in 6 cities across the country in 6 different jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They go after the money,
Mm-hmm.
law, engineering, become a doctor,
Mm.
get a postgraduate degree.
Yeah.
There's 4 professions, Wall Street, trade, or whatever. And it's like they're following the money rather than taking their natural talents and saying, what could I be really good at?
Yeah.
So I actually,
So true.
I love what you do because you have not only been a top salesperson in your career, but you've been training so many people to succeed in this
Sure.
important role, communicating, asking questions, all of those things, and scaling that. When you talk about kind of what am I doing now,
Yeah.
I'm so excited about taking natural talent,
Yeah.
but also taking skills and coaching from experts
Mm.
and teaching and training from experts
Mhm.
and making that accessible to everybody.
And that's what I want to ask you. And it's so good what you said. It's because it's like putting the horse blinders on. Like you're good at something, but if you want to be great, you can't be distracted by 12 other things.
Yeah.
Like if somebody asked me like, hey, can you go out and, fix this on my car? I'd be like, I would have no idea because I'm not well-rounded. Like I know how to sell, I know how to recruit, and I know how to train people to be the best in sales in the world. That's what I'm at. That's what I focus on. But if I was focused on like, oh, I need to also learn how to fix my car and I need to learn how to like trim the bushes really, really well, it takes away that time that you need to be the best at your one thing. And I see so many people, just like you said, they get too distracted.
Hey guys, Jeremy Miner here. A lot of you guys keep asking me really good questions in the comments on how to sell more. So the easiest way to actually get a hold of me is to actually text me way faster. So 480-418-6755. So text me at 480-418-6755 because here's the deal. I started this sales training company to help you finally master sales and persuasion once and for all, which is I know what you want to do. So text me and then let's get back to the show.
100%.
You put the horse blinders on.
I am not a handyman.
Yeah.
My wife actually can do plumbing and car repair better than me, and I've embraced that.
Yeah.
But I actually tried one time, like in 2001, I was having some lighting issues above my kitchen, in a light that I had to go in the attic. I spent 10 hours. I went to Lowe's and Home Depot. I bought books. I tried to figure out the wiring for 10 hours. My neighbor came over and fixed it in 5 minutes because I gave up.
Yeah, it's better
So,
just to pay somebody.
It's better to pay. Like,
$100 or
outsource what
$200.
you're not good at.
Yeah.
Delegate.
Yeah.
But do what you can to be the world's best at one
it's so
thing.
true. Now I got to ask you because everybody's going to be asking. So if you're not aware, we're announcing our launch of 7Q.ai. This is how we expand, very rapidly, and we can duplicate where there's like not just one Jeremy Miner, but there's like a billion Jeremy Miners. So when you were out there looking for a sales training company to partner with, a lot of choices out there, what caused you to feel like, hey, maybe 7th level's the pick we want to partner with?
Yeah, it's a great question. So my team and I went from search engine and content to AI and machine learning in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So we started down this path of saying, okay, machine learning requires a lot of data, like a search engine, but instead of telling you what has been said or what has been done, it can predict what can be done or can guide you and help you make decisions and kind of help you live your best life.
Mm-hmm.
So we got really enamored with that. And when you think about it, Jeremy, sports is a big part of our life and culture, and many of us have learned life lessons from sports. But all the best athletes in the world get to watch game film.
Yes.
They get to study what they did well and what they could have done better. And they usually have an analyst and a coach watching game film with them. Some of the world's greatest athletes are the most avid watchers of game film.
Tom Brady.
Exactly. And so I just think that knowledge workers, most of us go into a career 80,000 hours, 90,000 hours. We've never seen game film of ourselves. And
That's true.
if we've had great training, most of us are lazy and forgetful. We go through the training, we get pumped up, we try a few things. We forget more from the training than we'll ever
You don't
apply.
retain it. You don't retain it unless you're going through it constantly every day.
So the great Marshall Goldsmith, one of the world's best executive coaches, published an article called Leadership is a Contact Sport. And he said he studied 88,000 leaders that went through training. The leaders that went through training with no follow-up had no behavior change. The leaders who went through training with a little bit of follow-up had a little bit of behavior improvement. The leaders that went through training and had regular periodic follow-up had off the charts progress as leaders. Okay, so we started looking at world-class training companies.
Okay.
And of course, we found you guys.
Okay.
You've invented a methodology.
Sure.
I think about questions matter so much. I was a big fan of Robert Cialdini, influenced the psychology of persuasion. You've packaged together and created these concepts that are so important in communication and in selling. And so our teams got together. We started looking at the possibility of taking that concept of follow-up, that concept of game film, and applying it to your training. And thankfully, you guys have tens of thousands of hours of content,
of hours of training,
and coaching and feedback and script writing in what, 159 industries?
We're 161 verticals.
161
There's only
verticals.
163 in the world. Actually, I heard that we're actually in all 163 verticals now. There's subcategories of each one. Like home improvement would be a vertical, but you got doors, windows, cabinets, whatever, garages. But we train every industry at this point.
So it's like a marriage made in heaven.
Yeah.
Our team's enthusiasm about training and training reinforcement and AI feedback, your ability and already your scale of having helped hundreds of thousands of people learn how to ask good questions in the right way to kind of get to the answer, help the client
the prospect
discover.
open up. Yeah,
exactly. So all of those things, it's a perfect match. And our last 6 months, I think our team has done the best work we've ever done, and we're thrilled to be your partner.
We are excited. I can't when I started this thing back in basically 2019, but really 2020 is when it really kind of started. Like probably last 3-4 months of 2020. That's kind of when it happened. I thought in the back of my mind, I'm like, how are we going to duplicate this all over the world besides just virtual training courses that people can go through, but how do we get it into every country, into every language, where it's not just written, but it's obviously like me training where they hear my tone in German or Portuguese or Spanish, because I can't learn all the languages. And I thought about we're going to have to, kind of this old Sandler model, get sales trainers, teaching the methodology in each of those countries and cities and license them out. And I'm like, that's going to take decades to do. And then all of a sudden, a couple of years ago, I started hearing about AI. And I was at this event and this guy showed me, he I don't know what he does, e-commerce stores or something. He does reels every day. And he's like, yeah, man, check it out. I'm speaking Portuguese here. I don't even know how to speak Portuguese. And it sounded just like him. The tonality, the facial expressions, the lip movements, it was 95% accurate. And this was a year and a half ago. Yeah. And my brain is like, oh my gosh, I don't have to do any of that. I can make 1 billion Jeremy Miners and people can have access to me and literally ask me a question. They can say, hey, I sell, life insurance. What would Jeremy say? What would be his first 3 questions on an aged lead who hasn't, who responded 6 months ago? What would Jeremy ask them? What would be his first 3 questions? And you literally can ask me and I will actually answer that question right now and write it out for you right there on the Ask Jeremy app. And then it says, for more details, watch this training video, when it takes you to where I trained actually those 3 questions for your industry. That is scary. And that's something nobody else has because they don't have the amount of hours of training.
It's exactly
content.
right. And that's where our search engine experience and our AI experience come into play in this partnership.
Yeah.
We've transcribed every word you and your team of trainers have spoken. We've indexed every single clip. And then we use AI kind of advanced retrieval techniques augmented with probability generative AI to actually say what you did say and show the clip of what you did teach to reinforce the training.
Yeah.
If someone's been through the training and they just forgot to use it, then that will be a reminder.
Yeah.
But if they've never been through the training, this can be learn as you go with Jeremy coaching you every step of the way. If you can become the analyst and coach, helping people go through their game film, and because of Zoom and because of Teams and because of Google Meet and all of us are now recording sales calls all the time, Gong is an option, but why? Why not take
it's just
your
generic.
own training that you've paid for,
Mm-hmm.
and then have Jeremy reinforce that training after every
Mm-hmm.
call and
Mm-hmm.
give you that personalized coaching, you'll
Yeah.
level up so much faster with
Yeah,
this
I'm
new-
able to train you one-on-one now
Exactly.
at this point. And obviously before that, we have hundreds of thousands of clients. We've got companies sometimes that have 5,000 salespeople on there. I can't train them one-on-one. With AI, I can train you one-on-one now. You're
Yeah.
getting me right now. It's crazy scary when I think about it. And I feel like it's just the beginning. Like we're still uploading probably 20 new hours of my training every week into this thing. So that's like, what, 9,000 hours just this year in new training. And that's not like free content. That's like training we do for clients. Like we do, like company trainings that are industry specific, that we don't release online. We do, inner circle mastery programs that are industry specific, where we review their calls and everything and show them what they did well and what they should have changed. That all gets uploaded that nobody out in the world has. We don't release any of that in the basic free content. And I think that's a problem because a lot of people believe in the lie or the myth that they can go to ChatGPT and ask the same question and they're going to get the right answer. Maybe they don't understand how AI works with ChatGPT. You want to explain that?
Yeah, that's such a good point. There's a lot of people who just go to ChatGPT or Grok or
Mm-hmm.
Claude or whatever and ask a question. But the data that is being trained on is the publicly accessible data.
Yeah.
What you and our company have done together is we've taken all that high quality audio and video content that has never been indexed and never will be indexed by ChatGPT and Grok. They don't have a license.
Yeah.
This is a deep partnership. And so, the thing about generative AI is I love it. I use it all the time. I talk to it all the time. I ask it questions, but I always have to validate it because it's often wrong. It hallucinates a lot.
Because it pulls in from other things. Like if they would go to ChatGPT and say, what would be Jeremy's 3 questions in the beginning of this sales call? I sell IT services to trucking companies or whatever. How would he disarm them? Well, that term disarm him might pull off some basic free content from a YouTube video, but it's also going to pull in maybe another sales trainer that doesn't even teach what we do because they talk about disarming too. And then they merge it in together and you get like this sloppy mess and you're like, it's not going to work.
Yeah, it's AI slop a lot of the time. Yeah. And so what we do with retrieval and quoting you and finding the best instance in tens of thousands of hours of training, here's a 30-second clip that is exactly what you need after this call.
Yeah.
You did this well, you forgot to do this, and here's how Jeremy is coaching you.
Yeah.
And we're just getting started, as you know. Our teams are talking about kind of really fun future things.
Yeah, and I just saw this this TED Talk on this. I can't remember the guy. He's a leading AI expert, and he said, what you're going to see over the next couple of years is ChatGPT, Grok, and all those things are going to be less influential compared to individual, like ask Jeremy type of things, or like individual, like AI that only has content for that subject in it. Because it's like getting you very specific stuff rather than pulling it from like all these different sources. So if you want to become the best cook in the world, rather than type it into ChatGPT, let's say that one of the best cooks in the world has their own ChatGPT, you're going to get very specified information that's far more accurate and helpful. It's just like we had a guy on, who was the big marketer that we just had on, Andy, the branding guy? Yeah, Donald Miller.
Oh, wow.
And so he has his own version of ChatGPT. What's it? It's like storybrand.ai or something.
Yeah.
And he said the same thing.
Yeah,
It's like if you go ask ChatGPT the question, you're going to get like a mixture of my stuff with 16 other different people. But you go to my AI, it's like thousands of hours of what I'm telling you to do, very specific. The results are 10 times different. And that's what I love about what we're doing. Okay, so a couple of other things here. How do you, you said AI should make humans better, not replace them. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of people that are going to make a ton of money by making AI agents, AI-powered robots that can do all kinds of human work. There's a phenomenal book, speaking of loving learning and loving books. Kurt Vonnegut is one of the most famous authors in American history. He wrote his first book in 1952. He had worked at a GE factory for like 6 years. And then he pens this book called Player Piano. And he used the metaphor of a player piano that plays itself. And he painted this dystopian future where machines did all the work and all humans were out of work, except the 10 or so people that were overseeing all the machines.
The overlords.
Yeah. So the player piano was the first human to envision a dystopian future where machines did everything and humans lived on the wrong side of the railroad tracks and were in poverty. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've always thought humans are pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I'm a believer in God, and I believe that God created each person to be unique and
Yes.
talented and have great infinite potential if we kind of follow his path for us.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of just productivity and efficiency for the sake of economic growth. I actually think humans are incredible. I have 8 kids. I have 6 grandkids.
Yeah.
And each one of them is like a miracle.
Yeah.
So if I believe in a creator and I believe that he let me participate in creating life,
Yeah.
and to me that's a divine gift, I also think he's about to give all humans one more divine attribute besides creativity or procreation. And not everyone has a chance to do that, but those who have had a child know it's a miracle. But also words are miraculous. Humans are the only animal. We're not animals. We're creations of God, but we are the only species that can communicate and write and preserve and pass on. It's like amazing. But with AI, we can now speak things into existence the way our creator did. God said, let there be light, and there was light. We are on the cusp of being able to speak things, and code is written. Videos are created,
Wow.
you know,
So true.
and soon with robots, you'll speak commands and robots will go do your gardening for you. Like we are on the cusp of being able to increase our productivity, but humans need to remain at the center of our design for the future world that we live in, because humans are the most important creation and we have the most unique gifts and great potential. So I'm a big fan of using AI to help us all get better faster, learn more, have that reinforced learning that we talked about, but also AI to assist you in using your agency to get more things done.
Yeah.
And also to use AI to deepen relationships. Your communication expertise has far more applications than just in selling.
Course,
obviously, it's world-class for that. What about politics? What about the polarized society that we live in right now? Tone and the right questions asked at the right time to bring people's guards down. You know, I was just talking to some of your staff, Jeremy. You went to Utah Valley University where Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I grew up 3 miles from there. I taught there.
That's sad.
I'm friends with President Astrid Taminez. What a great tragedy to lose such a brilliant, wise, engaging person. But he did something really interesting. He clarified the terms as people brought up a question. He wanted to get clarity first. And so he would ask them to define their terms. And if they couldn't, he would try and get their agreement. And then he would look for an area of common agreement. I saw this pattern that he used. Well, your NEPQ methodology has so many applications in community, in politics, in corporate governance. I just think, Jeremy, cloning you with AI and allowing this to scale allows us to take this in all kinds of places.
It's true. Your communication skills are what make the world run. You know, like if your communication skills are bad, you're typically going to have a harder life. If your communication skills are really, really good because you learn them, you typically get more of what you want and you're able to help more people. And I look at communication not as just selling. I look at communication is why are wars started? A lack of communication, a lack of understanding. You know, this war with Russia and Ukraine, same thing. Russia feels like they're not understood by NATO and Ukraine. Like they don't believe they're the bad guys. Nobody ever does, right?
Right.
You see, so there's a lack of communication in those countries, and that communication broke down. And that's why there's other factors, of course. I'm not an expert, military expert, but it's that lack of communication. All wars are started by a lack of communication. That's literally what starts wars. And that's what also can end wars very quickly if you have really good communication skills to kind of disarm those people. I look at it, you know, in the scriptures, it talks about there was a war in heaven. Like this, to me, communication starts from the dawn of ages, of whenever the first man or woman were put here on this earth. I don't know what year that was. That's debatable. But whenever God put the first humans here, like, communication is how it all started. You know, it says in the scriptures there was a war in heaven, and a third of the host of heaven was cast out with Satan to the earth. Well, does anybody ever talk about what that war was fought with? Was it guns? Was it tanks? Was it bullets? Was it swords? Was it No, it was a war of words. It was a war of ideas. It was a war of persuasion. It was a war of influence. So it all starts
Yeah.
all the way back before any of us were here. And so in my mind, having this as we keep molding it over the next, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, 200 years, whatever it is, we help communication and we just help society, if that makes sense. It's a lot bigger than sales in my mind.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think when you and I've talked about the possibilities, that we'll start with sales, because sales kind of drives everything about
Yeah.
company
If
growth.
nothing's sold, there's no such thing as an economy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we need great sales. We need great entrepreneurships and,
Yeah.
and people selling what they innovate. I think there's another faith tie in here that's really interesting when it comes to AI. Maybe the most quoted phrase in all of Scripture, possibly, and certainly Jesus's most common teaching was to pray, but it was all ask, seek, and knock. Okay. If you ask good questions in prayer, everything changes. If you ask good questions, and I'm becoming obsessed with good questions, largely because of you. John Maxwell also wrote a book called Great Leaders Ask Great Questions.
Yeah.
It's not just what you ask, it's also how you ask it. And I think your NEPQ really dials into that.
Yeah.
Imagine if billions of people can use AI to learn how to ask better questions, not just of the AI, but of each other.
And how?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I
If there's
think
a
that
family
applies.
argument, instead of getting defensive, what if you came like, what's going on? Like, you can tell me, like, a little bit more concerned tone, like sometimes gets the guard down. There's so many different things that you
Think
use
of
it
how
for.
2 ways you can say, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
Or you look very thoughtful. What were you thinking?
Yeah. What were you thinking? What's going on?
Like there's
the tone. Yeah.
The tone really matters. And AI with more training can really get into the, not just the words, but the tone.
It's pretty cool. We're teaching it how to read not just the salesperson's tonality, because it can show you like, oh, when it does a call review, this is something we haven't talked about. So we haven't talked to anybody. So when we do these call reviews, now I can review every single sales call you're on, every appointment if you're on Zoom, even if you're in person with the apps and recording that. And I can show you personally where you won the sale or maybe where you lost it. Like right there at that 3 minute, 30-minute mark, when you asked that question, see how defensive it sounded and you see how that person's guard went up. And then at that moment, he was completely surface level the rest of the call. You triggered sales resistance. So that's like the game film. Now you should have asked that question with this tone. Go here, Jeremy's going to teach you about the concern tone. And it takes him to that training video.
So
I love this stuff. It's so cool, man. There's nothing else out there. You have Gong that will do call reviews, but then they'll be like, well, you need to get better at asking questions. Okay, well, which ones and why? It's just too basic. There's no like training on it, just like overview. I'm so freaking excited.
Same. Our whole team is. This is the best work we've ever done, and we have the best resource material that we've ever had.
And we're just in the first inning.
It is so exciting.
So you said something interesting. I want to get your thoughts here. With AI, I believe that it will take away a lot of jobs, but I believe that there will be so many industries created that do not even exist yet because of AI. Like when the internet came out, everybody said, well, it's going to get rid of salespeople because people could just buy online. It's going to get rid of these jobs, this jobs. All the internet did was create more industries that didn't exist. Yeah. And so I look at AI the same way. What are your thoughts on it?
I agree 100%. I think humans are super resilient. We've always adapted. There's been the industrial age, lots of disruption. There's the information age. Now there's the age of intelligence.
Yeah.
We are not going to just sit down and roll over and let AI and robots do everything. Like humans have a need to work, and we have innate talents that will allow us to be super creative.
Yeah.
And I think our ability to be productive and to create an era of abundance, there's no question that is a possible path. Now, if governments get us afraid of AI, or if there's too many regulations, or if we just become so polarized and we're fighting each other.
There will always be regulations. There's a thing called the FTC. They're always going to, like, as soon as like grandma gets sold, $15,000 over the phone, the son comes in, is like, why did you buy that? You got scammed by AI. The attorney general gets involved. Now when AI calls, hey, this is, AI agent, whatever they say, would you like to continue talking to me, or would you like to be transferred to a live representative? I guarantee you it's going to happen.
Yeah, there will be appropriate, sometimes overboard regulation that stifles innovation, like in Europe. I mean, I would hate to be an internet entrepreneur in Europe. There's just too many regulations, and AI is being overly regulated. And sometimes the incumbents try to get the regulation, because they have an advantage and they'll end up being the monopolies. And so
yeah.
I love open source. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
open source AI projects,
Mhm.
open data. I just think, but there is a scenario, Jeremy, where the world's GDP starts going up way faster than ever before.
Yeah.
And if we can encourage everyone to not just learn about AI, but to actually use it properly
We'll
and
learn how to use
productively,
it the right way.
exactly,
Yeah.
then there could be all kinds of opportunities for people to take a little bit of talent that they have and use a tool
Mhm.
that allows them to do 10 times more, 100 times more, 1,000 times more than they
Faster.
could without it.
Yeah.
And of course, that leads to prosperity. So I'm actually a techno optimist in a way.
I like that.
I'm a person of faith, and so
Yeah.
I don't think God is gonna, let us destroy each other, and AI is not, gonna cause the world to
Be
come
like
to an
the
end.
Skynet or 3 or something where it takes over the world.
Skynet
Skynet.
or whatever. I
Well,
mean,
there's always, you look back at history because you said something really remarkable. You said, people thought in the industrial age that it would end jobs because of the factories. People thought the internet age, it would end jobs. And there's always those people that say that's going to happen. There's always that person like, oh, the world's going to end, blah, blah, and it never happens. It just, humans, we adapt.
We adapt.
We always
Yeah.
adapt. There's always more industries and more jobs created by the thing that we thought was going to, it might take away some jobs, but then it starts making other industries and other jobs.
I just came across a new company. It kind of blew my mind. If you think about Michelangelo doing sculptures and how kind of there's a lost art there. Like in the Renaissance, there were individual artists that did amazing things, and very few people, if any, on the earth today can do
I've
that.
been able to duplicate it.
This guy has a robot that does sculptures that are almost at that quality. It can,
Wow.
and so he's now commissioning sculptures all over the world that are like Renaissance quality, and like that's a creative entrepreneur. He's going to use robots, but we could end up with a more beautiful architecture, more beautiful gardens and statues and all kinds of things, because humans use tools now, robots or machines, to do things that we want, and all of a sudden we get to enjoy the beauty
now you
of
have
that.
to hire people to clean your sculptures.
Exactly.
Now you have people that you got to do different things with and everything. I got this question, and I got some rapid fire questions. So you built a movement with Ancestry.com. Obviously, that changed the world and how they viewed ancestors. It made it accessible for the average person to be able to do it, not like the genealogy person that would go to every courthouse in every country, and that's kind of, how do you have time? And you make it accessible to anybody. What advice would you give to people who want to build something that truly outlasts even them?
Paul Graham is the greatest essayist of all time for startups. He started ViaWeb, which Ancestry used ViaWeb e-commerce in the 90s. And then he sold that. He started Y Combinator, and he's written so many brilliant essays. Recently, he said, if you want to change the world, do something that's fun and a hobby, and not trying to start a new company. Like if your goal is to get rich by building a company and you're just going to go, compete and do something. Okay. He said, he gave a whole bunch of examples of a hobby that turned into something massively important. So I actually think following your passion, finding your purpose, kind of doing what you feel driven to do. And there will be commercial opportunities that arise. And so I think you have unlimited fuel when it's a mission and a purpose or a passion, and you just love it, you're going to do it, instead of a lot of people that have a business idea and then they hit obstacles and then they give up.
It's because they don't have a mission behind
Exactly.
it. I look at an Elon Musk. His mission, go to Mars, interstellar travel, mission, electric cars. And so anytime he had an obstacle, there were some times that Tesla almost went under, like bankrupt.
Yeah.
But because he had that mission, he figured it out. And you're hit it right on the head. A lot of people start businesses that they're not passionate about.
Yeah.
And when they have trials and tribulations, which you will have, I guarantee you will have it. You just they go to plan B. But when it's like plan A, you burn the boats. When I started this thing called 7 Level 6 years ago, that's plan A. There's no plan B. Like we will make plan A work and we will be great at plan A. So that's why I get up every day. Even when there's trials or tribulations, you just get up because you're on a mission, right? You're on a mission. That's what you did with Ancestry.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing with Soar.
Exactly.
All right, rapid fire questions. One word that describes great leadership. One word.
Relentless.
I love that. That's one of the best answers. Book or idea that's influenced you the most?
Soar with Your Strengths by Don Clifton has 8 chapters, and I have read that book more than any other. And I think it's the greatest blueprint for human thriving ever written. And it was by a Midwestern Christian psychologist who was a counter to all the trends in psychology. He just asked one question: what would happen if we focused on what's right with people? So I love that book, and his thought leadership has influenced me in every part of my life.
That's interesting. One thing you want every entrepreneur to remember about purpose?
Your purpose is unique to you, and it's important as you bring together people is that you find out their purpose and how it can align in your organization. But each person is unique, and you can't just assume. Don't project your purpose on everybody else, even in your own organization. Try to find out their talents, their strengths, and their purpose, and then align the organization's needs with what they will naturally do because of their purpose.
That is great leadership advice. What's one app or tool you can't live without?
I can't live without the voice-activated ChatGPT and Grok. I'm driving a lot, mostly to and from airports, and I have just amazing conversations with AI. I'm learning to ask really good questions and get really good answers, even about the places I'm traveling to, the people I'm meeting with. Those advanced voice features are, and I just got Alexa Plus for my home Alexa devices, and they're now finally doing that too. Good quality LLMs in voice.
Very interesting. Favorite ancestor you've discovered?
I have a lot. I think William Brewster is one of my favorites. He was on the Mayflower. He was the religious printer and very important religious leader on the Mayflower. And I was in a museum in Texas about a year ago, and the famous pastor David Barton, who, along with Glenn Beck, has the 3rd largest museum in the country. He told me that my ancestor, William Brewster, was the printer of religious materials when the Christians left England and went to Holland, and they were printing these materials. King James sent troops over to confiscate the materials, and William Brewster, I think, was almost arrested, but they confiscated all of his print. But he had a printing press, and they took away all of his typesetting materials. And so when they got on the Mayflower, William Brewster, my 12th great grandfather, had to decide, am I going to bring this printing press with no fonts or typesetting materials to North America? And he brought it. And David Barton tells me that during the trip, the Mayflower mast broke. And the only way they could repair it was by using some iron materials in the printing press, which restored the mast and saved the Mayflower from a disastrous demise in the ocean. So everyone who lives in America can thank me and my family for saving the Mayflower.
Because he brought the freaking printing press over.
Yeah, so I love that. Now, I have an ancestor who lived in New Hampshire in the 1650s. I'm not quite as proud of him. Apparently, he was the first person arrested for selling snake oil medicines that had some claims that were not validated. So I actually think my 12th great grandfather saved the country, and then the one sold some kind of a potion and got arrested for selling
snake oil.
Snake oil.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So you've built companies. Ancestry help people understand their past. AI is going to shape the future. At the end of the day, what do you want your legacy to be?
I actually was asked that 2 years ago in Washington, D.C. on a POTUS channel, Sirius XM interview. We finished a half-hour conversation. They kind of threw that question out. And it hit me in the moment. My name is Paul. Paul was an evangelist. I was the Gallup StrengthsFinder evangelist. I actually would love for my legacy to be that Paul was the evangelist of all good things. If there's anything good, why not evangelize it? Why not use it and benefit from it and then share it? In politics, if there's a good policy or program that a Republican or a Democrat has and it works, it's a good idea.
It's a good idea.
It bears good fruit.
No matter what party.
I want to evangelize that. So I would like to be known, Benjamin Franklin, on his tombstone, it says, B. Franklin, printer. That was kind of a modest thing for one of the greatest founding fathers. I just think evangelizing all good things is, and that's why I like what you do.
I love that.
It's a good thing. Imagine if you can sell better than anyone else.
Yeah.
Imagine if you're taught by a world-class,
Yeah.
best sales trainer, and that you become so good at something, and then that benefits your whole life. You can do all kinds of other
Yeah.
good things. So
And it benefits,
evangelist of all
benefits your
good things.
prospects' life, you know, because they get where they want to be, right? If you can't learn how to sell them, they stay in the status quo. The problems stay the same. Nothing ever changes. So you're doing it for them, not to them. As long as they're the right skills, that's how they want to buy. People love to buy. They just don't like to be sold. That's where you learn the techniques. Well, Paul, where we're going to send everybody about this new AI that we have, we're going to send them to where?
Super easy to
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
7q.ai.
Go to 7q.ai. Make sure you get in there right now. There's a couple of different things. You can get into our Ask Jeremy feature where you can ask me any question and I will coach you one-on-one with the answer. And then we obviously have some things that clients have wanted as far as like me reviewing their calls, their appointments, whatever. If you sell in person, doesn't really matter. B2B, B2C, door to door, it's all the same. And you can get calls reviewed, everything.
It's time to level up
Yeah.
with Jeremy's coaching you and Jeremy giving you feedback and asking Jeremy anything, anytime you want. Just like I'm addicted to asking questions of my AI.
Yeah.
Any good salesperson who wants to become clearly skilled in everything you've taught and thousands of hours of your training, they can level up faster than ever before.
Very, very quick. And even old clients who've gone through our courses before, maybe they're in them right now, it helps you like go back to the areas like real quick. Instead of searching for it, like you just type it in and it just directs you right there. It's pretty cool. So much more we didn't go over. Paul, it's an honor being your business partner, and I'm excited to change the world with you.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Okay. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that episode. We will see you on the next episode, the Next Level Podcast. Go to 7q.ai. I can assure you, your life will change. See you soon.